with Yiga Miyashiro, who is the head brewer at Pizza Port, Ocean Beach.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm glad you could join us here. This is quite an adventure we've gone on with this 30 under 30, and we really appreciate you being on the cover of that issue.
That was a happy surprise.
Yeah, I'm sure you've been asked to autograph it. I'm sure you've been getting unsolicited proposals from, strange women who have become raving fans based on that cover. But
big dudes with beer guts and hairy chests, yeah.
Yeah. So, to start, I think it's really funny. In your interview, you talked about your father getting you into home brewing before you were of legal age.
Yeah, well, he was not opposed to me drinking alcohol, but he was opposed to having to purchase me beer. And all the brewing ingredients, it's just like baking bread. My mother baked bread every day in the kitchen, and so me going to the homebrew shop and buying some malt extract and getting some yeast and some hops and everything like that, and was okay with him.
So the trick was the law said you can't sell alcohol.
Yes.
To someone underage.
Yes.
So he was okay with that circumvention.
Yeah.
Oh, that is hilarious.
But I think too, I funded it all myself, so I went to the donut shop to get a bucket because at Home Depot it was $5, so the donut shop it was $2.50 to ferment it. But I was not of age to collect bottles to cap, so I had to go to the Mexican food store or Mexican food restaurant down the way and get all these old Tecate and Corona and Pacifico bottles that they sold me just for the deposit. So I spent like $2.50 on like 50 bottles and took them home and pulled all the limes out and scrubbed them and cleaned them up because it's not like I could sit there and drink Sierra Nevada Pale all day. And collect
so you
bottles.
developed scrounging skills.
Yes.
Which is, there couldn't be a better qualification for a brewer than to be able to scrounge.
And every brewer I know has to do it extremely well.
Well, let's talk about your early days. As I mentioned earlier, I did have a chance to get to one of the pizza ports, and I was just astounded at the diversity of beer, the size of the brewery, and the fact that there was virtually no space to work in.
Yeah,
and you're at Ocean.
I'm in Ocean Beach, but I brewed at the Solana Beach location. I brewed at the Carlsbad location. When I started, my career with Pizza Port actually started with Tommy Arthur out at Lost Abbey. I was sweeping floors, washing kegs, shoveling grain, all for free.
Oh yeah.
I had a full-time job.
Like I said, brewers know how to scrounge, even scrounging people.
Yeah, and then I got a delivery job out of Carlsbad because that's the main hub. They have the most fermenters, they have the most production there.
Okay.
Assistant brewer at the Solana Beach location. One of the lead brewers at the Carlsbad location. I got my head brewer position in Ocean Beach. But I'd also, I've helped as that delivery driver. You also went up to San Clemente and helped him shovel grain and bring him ingredients. So I've seen all the pubs work. But yeah, you go. I guess the point of all that is the restaurants. So you have to have room for people to actually move about, and unfortunately, sometimes your brewery area gets very small. So
you're running 15 to 18 different beers at these restaurants that also have a brewery.
Yeah, so
that's got to kind of, how do you juggle that as a professional?
Very carefully. We're pretty lucky. We have quite a few serving tanks, but what we've had to do is for our keg inventory, we'll keg off tanks, and our kitchen managers probably hate us because half their food cooler is full of beer.
Yeah.
I've
heard that. That's across the board. Kitchen managers hate brewers because you take up the cold space.
Yeah, and every cold box we have, they're double and triple stacked, and you got beer everywhere you can stick it, and you just get very creative. Unfortunately, cold box space is at a premium, so what ends up happening is you shuffle a lot of kegs. In Ocean Beach, when we need to transfer a beer, we move 15 kegs out of the cold box. We sit them in the middle of the restaurant. We put a bunch, as they start sweating, we put up signs and have busters mopping the floors so we can try to transfer beer as quick as we can, and then we get those kegs right back in. But it's kind of the rotation you have to do because you want to keep that beer cold. But like in my cold box, there's a path between the bright tanks and the keg racks that's this wide, and that's valuable space. So you can double stack kegs right there. You know.
How's your back?
Luckily, I make sure I get another guy to help me double stack because.
Yeah, chiropractors, they come in handy.
Yeah, lift with your legs, not with your back.
There you go. You in your interview, you talked about your passion for session beers.
Yeah.
And then you turned around and talked about these incredibly interesting ingredients that you're working on. How are you blending these two interests of yours?
Well, I think like a good example that we did is we did a macadamia nut coffee English brown ale. So it's a small beer, 5% alcohol, but then it's all about adding complexity because that's what you want. You want something that's interesting and you want to keep drinking it. So
you're starting with a classic style?
Classic style. And this was actually a collaboration beer with Kim Lutz, who was featured in the magazine as well. Yes. So her and I, we both have very good English brown ales. Mine's actually English Dark Mild. It's a little bit smaller in alcohol. It's usually a 3.8% beer. Hers is more, I think, just over 5%. So we kind of combined the two, took a bunch of malts that she liked using, took a bunch of malts I liked, and we combined that to build the base beer.
Okay.
And then I've been working with a coffee roaster down in San Diego, Heather Breesen, who's at Bird Rock Coffee Roasters, which won Small Coffee Roaster last year. So they know their stuff, you know. And what we end up doing is we'd build this base recipe. With that one, we did the base beer. Then I got 75 pounds of macadamia nuts, turned all the pizza ovens to the lowest temperature. I thought it was going to be done before the restaurant was opening, but we were toasting macadamia nuts while they're
back up a couple questions. How'd you deal with the oil on the coffee?
The oil on the coffee?
Yeah.
Well, when you see that shiny piece on a bean, that's the coffee getting old. So I mean, there are oils in it. I should ask you, what do you mean by the oils in the coffee? Because I'm
always under the impression that as a bean, it has a bit of oiliness to it, and that can be a problem when you're brewing, unless you handle it right. And
So when we were getting into coffee beers, I was trying every single coffee beer out there, and talking to people that have used it, and then my own experiences, I found you use it on the cold side. For me personally,
use it on what?
I use it on the cold side. So I take finished beer, and the way I do is actually steep the finished beer on the coffee.
Okay.
So I'm not ever introducing heat, and so I don't have.
So you don't, the oils don't come. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not.
Or maybe I'm off base on the oils.
But there's oils in everything. There's a bunch of oils in hops. I mean, I did a rub before we came, and I still can't get the green off my hands.
Yeah.
You know, I've been washing them all day long. So.
Second question: why did you pick macadamia? I mean, that's got a very pronounced flavor.
Yeah, that was more Kim.
Okay.
You know, she really she did a macadamia nut beer before. I did a coffee beer. We both really loved our two beers. So it was another one of let's combine what we do. You know, and
because I can't help but think that the macadamia nuts have something supportive role with a specific type of malt profile, and
well,
you know, and
the chocolate and the macadamia. You look like, say, you go to Hawaii, and there's those chocolate-covered macadamia nuts. Like that was kind of something we were going for. We both really like coffee.
So
when just kind of all went together.
I mean, this is interesting. When you're working on one of these exotics beers that you do, how is it that you're going around? How is it that you're making those selections? I've always meant to ask Sam Calgione this because he's always making crazy beers.
Yeah.
Do you have something in mind? Like, I've got this hop profile and I want to add this fruit to, I mean, give me an example of something where you pieced it together in your mind based on what you think.
I always go off of past experiences, past flavors I've tasted. When we're like building beers, I always I break it up into things I know I can control. I can control the malt, I can control my yeast, I can control my hops, my alcohol, things like that. And then so I take different components that I like from different places, and then I combine it.
Okay.
So we I've been doing an Imperial Coffee Porter for quite a while, and I knew I liked the coffee that brought to the beer, because it took a beer that I thought was really good and made it great. And then for the brown ale, we had this, we kind of designed the beer to need that toasty richness, that fattiness that comes from the nut, because you could tell that you were taking down calories from those nuts, and it was really interesting because we dry nutted the beer, like toasted nuts on finished beer, and let it sit there for a week, then introduce coffee, and then when you took those nuts out, they tasted like cardboard.
Tasted like what?
Like cardboard. There was nothing in it. It was just like
it all steeped out?
It all steeped out. It was amazing,
So you designed the profile of the beer to make it ready for the fatty umami-ness of the nut.
Yeah, because you knew it was going to give you that richness and that toasty kind of, like dessert kind of thing going on. And so,
what a hoot.
So, I don't know. At least that's what I think was going through our heads.
Well, that's the artist side of being a brewer. It's always, I know our readers and our viewers, they really want to know what you guys do.
Yeah.
Where'd that shit come from? And it's not alchemy and it's not mystery, but nor is it hard science. It really is an art, and that's a beautiful description about. That's really nice. So. Where are you going to be in 5 years? You're in the middle of a new project, aren't you?
Yeah, so I'm going to be transitioning. We're opening a new production brewery. I've been, for the past, year and a half now, designing it, speccing all the equipment. And so we're going to be, because right now we serve probably 99% of our beer over the bar in pints and growlers and pitchers. And so now we're going to move into production. We're going to put beer into a can. We've always wanted to put beer into a can.
Yeah, geez, you guys are on the beach.
Yeah, we're on the beach. Half our customers surf, fish, camp, whatever it might be.
Or go to college.
Yeah, we've got.
And they need to put cans behind their bed.
Exactly, like Doug was saying.
Isn't that a riot?
Yeah. And if you throw bottles, you might break them. You can crush a can and get it in a much smaller space. So, so we're going to get into that. So I see in the next 5 years, keeping that place going and really seeing where it's going to take us.
So with the production facility, I assume we're going to be seeing beers in bigger market, wider market.
Yeah, I think we'll probably start with the inner growth out. We really want to saturate San Diego. It's still going to be a small facility in the scheme of things. So
what do you think it would max out at?
I'm sorry, what?
What would it max out at?
Barrelage
capacity,
wise,
yeah.
We're probably going to max out at like 35,000 barrels. That's like going around the clock.
That's big.
Yeah.
That's a lot of beer.
We look at the ballast points and the stones and the green flashes, and they're going way past that. Right. So it is big. It is very big, and it's gonna be a lot of beer.
You're gonna be busy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this beer that you brought.
Yeah, definitely.
What do we got?
Burning Rome IPA. So West Coast style IPA. This uses our house ale yeast. It's simple malt bill or some two-row, carapils, a little 40L pulsar crystal in there. Hop-wise, there's a gamut of hops. If I remember all of them, I think there's Galena, Columbus, Cascade, Amarillo, Simcoe, Chinook, Centennial in there.
Well, talk a bit. What are you doing with all those? What is the goal? You've got all the classic citrus hops in there, all of them.
Yeah.
The orange, the lemon, the grapefruit. what are you doing with the others? Are you building something around those big grapefruit hops?
Yeah. So like when I do IPAs, I know different hops are going to give me different things. So and I wish I brought some more notes on this because I could get into it a little bit better. But
Yeah.
I know like when I'm writing a recipe for that, like I'm going to look at like a first word addition gives, I feel, a lot of hop flavor in the beer. And so I know that I want this flavor from this hop, and so that's what I'll use for that.
Okay.
I know that this certain hop for the bitterness is going to give me not only a bit like a strong, clean bitterness, but also a strong, clean bitterness that finishes with that American profile. Because you can also gain.
Okay.
Just if you're just looking for big bitterness, there's plenty of hops that can do that.
Yeah.
But if you also want that kind of connection to your aroma hops, you have to kind of keep that in mind. And we use a lot of aroma hops, you know, so our tail end additions are really big. You know, when we're building recipes, a lot of times with our dry hopping, or all the time with our dry hopping, we're tasting the beers as they ferment, as they finish, and then we're building off of that. We're seeing which hops have the ability to really shine.
Before you put the aroma in?
Yeah, so like after fermentation, it's not like we just write it start to finish and like, okay, that's what's going to happen. We're really going to look at, okay, you know, I know that this should be doing this, but let's see what really happened in reality, you know, because sometimes for some reason different hop combinations, they work out differently together.
Yeah.
And then so after that, then we'll take whatever point that we really want to shine, we'll smell what our hops are doing at the time, and then we'll dry hop with that, and then we'll tweak from there as we go along, as we make consecutive recipes.
That's fun.
But yeah, it's just a blast.
And this is probably a legacy of your small batch brewing at the restaurants.
Exactly. You know,
you can keep screwing with it until the last. That's nice.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And it's great about the pubs and what Pete's Port has allowed all of us to do, because I mean, you know, I'm at one of the pubs brewing, but we've got 4 other head brewers right now, and they're all making amazing, incredible beers. And
Vincent and it's Gina, right?
Gina, yeah, brother and sister.
Vincent and Gina are great. They're great.
Yeah. So they
They're
give us a
good
ton
people.
of creative freedom. Also, what's fun about this beer, though, is one of our employees in the kitchen, his name's Joe Aguilera. He's the lead guitarist for the band Burning a Rome. Amazing band, local San Diego band. You know, they do, but they tour through the United States. They go to Europe. You know, they're
Burning Rome.
The Burning of Rome. Yeah.
Burning of Rome.
And yeah, you should look them up. They're
okay. We'll do.
Like one of the most fun live acts I've ever seen. And so I came to him and was like, hey, let's do a beer. And so he gave me their album before it was even released. Made the beer. I put a stereo on top of the fermenter, and I played the album. I looped it for 3 weeks straight to the beer. And so that really, I think, it infused rock and roll into the beer. And then when we released it,
that's what I was tasting.
Yeah, there's pure rock and roll in there. And then
we're drinking rock and roll.
Yeah, we don't have I guess a cabaret license. We can't have live music at a restaurant. But across the street, there's an architect firm that has 3 big driveways, and so they just set up shop. We fired up a generator, and there you go. Luckily, didn't get arrested. So.
There you go. Well, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Me.
Thanks an awful lot.
Definitely.
It's a
Cheers.
wonderful beer.
Thank you so much.